يشاء وهو أعلم بالمهتدين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الرحمن الرحيم.
الرحمن الرحيم.
مالك يوم الدين.
مالك يوم الدين.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aurélia Joanneau. I was born in Paris 34 years ago. I have changed my name to a more Muslim name after I became Muslim. Now I'm called Basma. I came to Qatar 15 years ago for a holiday. I was not a Muslim then. I came for a holiday and decided to not go back to my country except for visiting my family once in a while. I was not raised a Christian. I was raised with no religion. My father, before passing away, had asked my mother not to force me to be part of any religion, and he wanted me to choose. I'm sure he didn't have Islam in mind, but subhanallah, Allah guided me to Islam after I didn't have a religion before. When I came, I started giving private French lessons to Qatari girls who needed my help for their university. And what really attracted me to them is that they did not talk to me about their religion except when I asked them questions. They waited for me to be curious, and they even prayed their prayers on time in front of me, just asking me to be patiently waiting by the time they finished their prayer, without forcing me or asking me if I wanted to be a Muslim or trying to force their religion on me. They just waited for me to ask them questions. One particular incident really attracted me to asking them more questions, and it's related to the family. As a Westerner, and sometimes it's like this in the West, not always, but sometimes families are kind of separated and family members are not close to each other. Everybody's very busy and everybody's so far away. One of the girls I was giving French lessons to came to pick me up with her car, and she didn't drive herself. She was sitting at the back of the car with her mother when the driver was bringing her back from the university. And as they were sitting in the car, the mother and daughter were holding hands very tightly, and they were sitting very closely to each other, like they had not met for a long time, when in fact I knew that they had met the same morning. So I saw this, and it kind of attracted my attention, because in my country, if you had seen your mother the same morning, you wouldn't be very close to her like a few hours after that. It kind of looked like, oh, one of them had traveled and they were meeting after a long time. So I wanted to ask the question on the spot, but I felt intimidated by her mother. Her mother was covered just like I am now, and was very intimidating for a 19-year-old French girl. I held my question until we reached the house, and when I was alone with my friend, whose name is Maha, I asked her. She was very generously offering me food and offering me to sit down, and I couldn't hold my question for a long time. So I said, listen, just answer one question. I have something which I have seen in your car, and I really, really would like to know what the reason is for you holding your mother's hand after you met her in the morning, and you're just meeting her after 3 hours of university. Why are you guys holding hands, and why are you so close to each other? Now that I'm a Muslim, I know the answer to this question Islamically, but for me, when I got this answer the first time, it came as a real eye-opener. She said that, my mother is a great woman who has taken care of all of my brothers and sisters and myself. When we were babies, we couldn't move our own body to drink and eat and go to the bathroom and keep ourselves warm. And had she not done all these things for us when we were babies, we wouldn't have lived. But my religion is telling me that even if my mother wasn't the greatest person on earth, and if she hadn't fulfilled all her duties towards me as a child, I still would have to respect her and honor her and do whatever she wants me to do. And even if sometimes her request would be somehow irreasonable, I would still have to do it because she's my mother. And she went on explaining to me the position of the mother in Islam, and that really got me interested into knowing more about her religion. She basically told me that her mother was a great person, but even if she wasn't a great person, she would have had to do the same to honor her rights towards God. So I said, okay, well, if this is the case, I would like to know more about your religion. And she just said, well, okay, I'll arrange for some books for you. A few days later, she had arranged for translation of the Quran, transliteration of the Quran with its translation in French, and another tiny little book with the basics of Islam, which I really was very, very interested in. And they were very basic information, but they were extremely precious for me at the time. This is the reason why at first I started inquiring about Islam. After that, there are a few things which have happened to me which really showed me, subhanAllah, that Allah wanted me to be a Muslim. At one point, I remember reading the translation of the Quran in French. Is the French version of it is very high in literacy. It's the French language is very complicated in there. It's not very easily that I could understand, even as a French native, what was meant by the translation. So I remember one particular incident. I was all by myself reading that book, and I don't remember which ayah it was. I could only touch the French side, not the Arabic side. But I was reading this particular translation of one ayah, and I wasn't understanding it. And I really wanted to understand everything, because I could feel that I wanted to become a Muslim, but I wanted to be an informed Muslim before, to a minimum, that I had read the Quran from the beginning to the end and have understood everything. So I remember it was quite late at night, and I was reading all of this behind my family, because if hadn't seen me reading the Quran, they would have stopped me and they would have given me trouble. So I remember closing the book, and it was like challenge to Allah. May Allah forgive me if it was wrong. I talked to God and I said that, oh God, if the God of this book is true, when I open the book, like now, I'm going to understand that sentence, which I'm not understanding. And subhanAllah, believe it or not, when I opened the book again, that same sentence, which was, they were words next to each other with no meaning, they all suddenly came together to a clear meaning. And this happened to me a few times after that. Whenever I wouldn't understand one of these translations, I'd close the book and make the same, it's a dua, but it wasn't, I didn't know it was that then. But every time I would open the book back, I would understand the meaning, and then everything would make sense. Inshallah, I believe this was a sign from Allah that I had to be a Muslim. And it took about, I would say, 3 to 4 months of intense reading of only that translation of the Quran for me to know that I wanted to be a Muslim. And I took my Shahada on these experiences.